Hey, welcome back to the stash. Does anyone remember when Peter Parker actually looked like Peter Parker? Remember when he had distinct features that could make you instantly recognize him? Well, Marvel clearly doesn't. Over the years, Spider-Man's design has seemingly regressed more and more with each passing decade. We're now at the point where he's genuinely just so generic looking in literally everything. From the comics themselves, the movies, to the video games, to the TV shows, Peter Parker is the most bland character in all of it. He looks more generic than all the side characters combined. Sure, he's meant to blend in with the crowd, but that's for the civilians of the Marvel world. To us, the readers, he's still meant to stand out. Hell, Marvel can't even do right by the 90s show. I got no clue what happened, but how on earth am I supposed to believe that this guy is the same person as him? Honestly, in this instance, it just comes off as really disrespectful towards the legacy of that show. Not to mention how it barely feels like a continuation. I don't understand what's so hard about capturing this look, but it's kind of impressive just how much they screwed up with it. Anyway, this has been one of my biggest nitpicks about modern Spider-Man for ages now. He simply has been flanderized to the point where not a single aspect of his character is recognizable anymore to people who've read the comics for a long time. Some might get confused by this and see it as a form of character progression, but in reality, it's the very opposite. It's regression. Marvel's locking him within this bubble that he just can't seem to escape from. He has to look like a teenager. He has to look like a boring version of Tom Holland or a bland random placeholder. I find annoyance in this because Marvel used to care. They used to have a set design for all the characters that artists had to follow, but now it kind of feels like a lost art within the medium. It always bothers me, especially when this element of care goes missing within the same story, and it happens so often in the last volume of The Amazing Spider-Man. In that comic, he and everyone else would constantly change appearances. I mean, look, this is in the space of 2 issues.
Crap. Mega crap.
I know some of you might not care or see it as big as a problem as I do, but with the new continuation of the 90s Spidey show released and seeing how little effort they put into Peter's design, I just felt like I wanted to make a video and talk about the regression with that aspect of the comics. But hey, real quick, here at The Stash, we're swinging for 17,000 subscribers by the end of the month. That's a tall order, I know, but with great power comes great responsibility, and all you gotta do is click subscribe. So if you're into Spidey or just comic book deep dives, feel free to stick around. And also be sure to stay to the very end, because I'll be showing you guys some of my latest Amazing Spider-Man comic pickups as I near a full complete set of Volume 1. But with all that being said, let's jump right back into the video. Now when you go back to the early days, Peter Parker actually had a face. He wasn't just some blank template for generic Marvel guy or even a poorly matched together attempt at capturing the current actor's face. He was simply Peter. Steve Ditko drew him as a lanky teenager who always looked like he was carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. His posture was hunched, his expressions awkward, and he constantly had this anxious look in his eyes. That's what made him real. He wasn't glamorous, he wasn't heroic looking. He was a kid from Queens. You could flip to a random page and feel that this was the same Peter Parker who was bullied in high school, who worried about Aunt May, who struggled to balance homework with crime fighting. Then John Romita Sr. took over, and his art softened in Peter's image, but perhaps the best part of it all was how he genuinely looked like a natural step in Peter's evolution. The jump between artists was perfect. You can tell that he had just entered a new stage of his life, and thanks to Romita's pencils, it felt real. He gave him broader shoulders, a more mature face, and the kind of look that felt more in line with a traditional comic book hero. But here's the important part that I touched on just a moment before. Romita didn't erase Peter's identity, nor did he make him generic looking. He made him appealing and charming, yes, but he still looked like Peter Parker. He had that classic hairstyle, those distinct facial features, and a warmth in his design that carried through every panel. And as the decades went on, other artists from Russ Andrew to Gil Kane to so many others followed in that tradition. They followed Romita's design. Bagley's Peter, though, always felt like a modernized version of Romita's design. He was mature, clean, and most importantly, instantly recognizable. Eric Larsen's Peter, meanwhile, was very of the times. His style reflected the early 90s with sharper lines and more exaggerated features, but underneath that, Peter was still Peter. He was in line with Bagley's future look and Todd McFarlane's look before that. And Todd McFarlane, for all his iconic style, never lost sight of the fact that Peter Parker had to look like a specific person. You could flip through any Amazing Spider-Man comic in that era and know immediately that you were looking at Peter Parker and not just some generic Marvel placeholder. But then, you hit the year 2000, and you've got Mark Bagley returning for Ultimate Spider-Man. This time he reimagined Peter as a true modern teenager, and it worked beautifully. He was expressive, a little awkward, sometimes even goofy, but still distinct for that series. You could tell he was Peter Parker of the 1610. That's what's so frustrating about where we are now. For decades, even with different artists and styles, you could always tell it was him. You could flip through a page and go, that's Peter Parker. He wasn't perfect looking, but he was unique. He had an identity, and it's hard to feel like that isn't lost now. Somewhere along the way, Marvel lost that sense of care. By the late 2000s, Peter started to slowly morph into what I can only call the generic Marvel male template, or even just a victim to movie synergy. Either one works. It's the same jawline you see on Captain America, the same hairstyle you see on Johnny Storm, the same smooth, lifeless expressions you could paste onto Cyclops, Nova, or literally any young hero. It's this factory line look where everyone just sort of blends together. The worst part is that Peter suffers more than most from this. He's supposed to stand apart. A major part of his character is being built on being the outsider. If he looks like a stunt double for the MCU, or worse, a faceless NPC, you erase all of that. His supporting cast, though, is a little different. Where Peter has been done dirty in terms of art and writing, most of the time for the world around him, it's just the writing that's poorly put together. Their designs usually keep a sense of continuity. Hell, look at the new 94 comic as well. Peter in that has no resemblance whatsoever to his TV show counterpart, whereas at least MJ has the hair. And it seems like in all comics, they've managed to always have their trademark features, whereas Peter has been long forgotten about. Gwen will always wear her headband, Harry and Norman will always have the same hairstyle, and JJJ will always keep the same appearance. Sure, each artist will bring their own unique style to them, but the core of the character is still there. It's just weird that where these characters are always recognizable, most of the time, Peter isn't. It just sucks that Peter has lost the most. He's the one who's been sanded down, redrawn, and remodeled so many times that half the time you have to stare at the page and wonder if this is really supposed to be him. That's how far Marvel has let his design slip. But it's not all doom and gloom. There are still artists who understand what makes Peter special and what a good design looks like. Patrick Gleason is a great example. His Peter looks expressive, human, and distinct, with some nods to the pillars of his design. Plus, his Spidey all-round looks really good. You can see the wear and tear in his face, but also the hope and humor. Marco Cicchetto is probably the best example though. Whether it's his Spider-Man or Peter Parker look, it's pretty damn good. In the continuity he's working within right now, this Peter's got a beard, but even with that, he looks more in line with the classics more than most other artists of the 616. He even does the fangs in his hair. That's like one of my favorite parts of his design, yet they keep forgetting about it for some reason. His Spidey looks great too. I love the way he captures the iconic red and blue suit in Ultimate Spider-Man as well. I mean, we already knew that he could do it during his time on Daredevil when Spider-Man would appear, but Ultimate Spider-Man just took his work on the webhead to a whole new level. Gleb Melnikov is another artist I really like, although he's barely done any ASM comics, but with what we have seen, I'm a pretty big fan of his work. His stuff in the Black Cat series that just came out was really good too. These artists though prove that it's still possible, that Marvel can capture Peter's identity when they want to. It's just that too often they don't. And the contrast between when it's done right and when it's phoned in makes it even more frustrating. A big part of this problem comes down to Marvel's obsession with movie synergy. Be it especially Andrew Garfield or Tom Holland, the comics start bending Peter's design to match whoever's on the screen for the moment. Instead of keeping his own consistent identity, recently Peter's just become this chameleon who has to reflect the current Hollywood version, and the result is that he loses everything that made him distinct in the first place. It's just so annoying. Peter Parker isn't supposed to be a knockoff of the latest actor, he's supposed to be Peter Parker, the kid from Queens who you can recognize across the page, the guy who feels human in a world of gods and monsters. It's just so annoying that they keep stripping him down and keep him in the most boring state possible. It never sat right with me how the comics continuously bend over backwards for the movies, where it should be the other way around, because without the comics, there never would have been that film in the first place. But so, yeah, Marvel, stop making Peter Parker ugly. Stop sending him down until he's just another faceless Marvel placeholder. Stop pretending that generic is the same thing as relatable. Peter Parker should look like Peter Parker, not a copy and paste face with brown hair, not a lazy attempt at capturing Tom Holland's likeness, just Peter. I really don't get what's so hard about that, because when you erase his look, in a sense you erase a part of his identity, and Spider-Man doesn't work without Peter Parker. This is the character who defined Marvel, the guy who always looked like he was carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders, because he was. That's what made him special, and that's what made him timeless. And if Marvel keeps stripping that away, if they keep choosing movie synergy and sending down his features until he's unrecognizable, then what's left isn't Peter Parker, it's just a mask with nothing underneath. I only wish Marvel kept drawing Peter as Peter. I know to some it might not be a big deal, but to me, it's just a real annoyance. Because at the end of the day, that face and identity plays a big part in making Spider-Man his own unique being. Without Peter Parker, there is no Spider-Man. And Marvel would do well to remember that. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Comics from the Stash. I believe this is the third time we've done this. I'm just trying to remember if this is going to go for a certain video or not, as I got 2 in the works currently. But yeah, I want to go over some of my own recent pickups for Amazing Spider-Man, and I'm only 10 away now from a complete set of Volume 1. It's going to be very expensive now, but I'm almost there. But let's get into some of the recent pickups. Okay, so first off, this one took a while to get, even though it wasn't that expensive at all. We have The Amazing Spider-Man issue 350. The story of this one's actually pretty good. I remembered Spidey had against Link for Doctor Doom, or I think they were all gonna die. Now, I love this cover a lot. It's by Mark Bagley. It is The Amazing Spider-Man issue 378. Beautiful cover. Part of the Maxim Khan storyline, but, you know, just incredible action. We got some more Venom now with The Amazing Spider-Man issue 346. Nice cover by Eric Larson here. Very nice copy too. Eric Larson's actually one of my favorite Spidey artists. I think he's quite underrated, to be honest. We have another Venom cover, issue 333 of The Amazing Spider-Man. Not really a fan of this cover. I prefer the other one way more, especially for Eric Larson's work. But nonetheless, you know, needed it and finally got it. Last, but definitely not least, this one took a while to find. I actually got it for a pretty good price. The condition's okay. It is The Amazing Spider-Man issue 301. Yeah, needed this one for a long time. Yeah, I actually got it right here. 1 second, guys. Yeah, finally got the pair, but this one took a while. But that has been Comics from the Stash, another episode down. Thank you guys for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, next video I'll be sure to show some more of my collection. I hope you guys enjoy this little segment of the channel. It's very new, but I quite like doing it. I have fun doing it as well. But yeah, thank you guys again for watching, and see you in the next one.